Our first speaker is Soumya Ramireddy.
Good evening, friends, family, and faculty. And of course, good evening to my peers in the graduating class of 2014. Tonight's celebration means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For some, tonight is the achievement of a goal that they've been working towards for years. While for others, this is just another opportunity to take a solid Facebook profile picture. But no matter where we fall on this spectrum, our high school graduation marks the beginning of our adulthood, a change that most of us might find terrifying. But as soon-to-be graduates of Monte Vista High School, we have the upper hand. In fact, because of the experiences we've had and the people we've met as Monte Vista Mustangs, we've been more than ready for this scary transition since far before tonight. In his book, 1,000 Plus Little Things Happy Successful People Do Differently, author Mark Chernoff delineates 20 defining characteristics of a true adult. But trust me, I will just focus on 3. The first being optimism. You see, when we came to Monte Vista in 2010 as short, disoriented freshmen, we had a lot to be discouraged by. We were confused by the ideas of passing periods and locker rooms, and we were bombarded with more acronyms than we could count. AP, ACT, SAT, CSF, NHS, ASL, GPA, all of which led us to simply say, OMG. But it was the vibrant student life at Monte Vista that inspired us to remain positive despite these negatives. After all, we got to dress up as cavemen and dinosaurs for our class theme during homecoming week, got to experience our first Blacklight rally, and got to finally contribute to the famous rivalry games, rooting for the right side, of course. In other words, even as little freshmen, Monte Vista inspired us to be optimistic, and thus to take our first steps into adulthood without even knowing it. In fact, we were so optimistic that we approached the stressful whirlwinds that were our sophomore and junior years head on. But little did we know that we would be picking up on a second defining characteristic of adulthood, an affinity for discovery. Our teachers pushed us to build boats out of cardboard and duct tape, to write 7 different essays on just one subject, and to solve one math problem many different ways. As a result, we were made the drivers, and sometimes even the rowers, of our own education. And we're encouraged to explore with independence and creativity. We became scholars and researchers, asking our own questions and then finding our own answers. And then came senior year, when the green fences surrounding our new Workday Student Center came down and we became the envy of every other high school because we had a beautiful new building built just for us. And though we were at risk of catching senioritis, we kept our heads in the game, especially our seniors on the men's varsity basketball team, who went on to win state for the first time in the history of Monte Vista athletics. They came back victors, but instead of gloating, they joined us in picking up the third defining characteristic of adulthood, compassion. These state champs helped raise over $2,000 for the Wheelchair Foundation by supporting our Interact Club's wheelchair basketball game. And earlier in the year, we showed our compassion as a class when our rivals at San Ramon Valley High School were mourning the loss of their beloved peer, Robert Orlando. We decided to put our rivalry aside, join together in the senior quad, and express our condolences, all while dressed in green. And here we are now. In just 4 years, we have accomplished so much. But if we wish to continue our successful transition into adulthood, we have to acknowledge those that got us here and those that will get us to where we want to go next. First, we must thank our amazing teachers at Monte Vista for pouring their hearts and souls into shaping us for the better. Secondly, we must thank our administrators, counselors, office staff, librarians, and custodians for doing all they could to make Monte Vista a welcoming environment for us. And lastly, we have to thank our friends and family who kept us going the entire way. We couldn't be here without your love, your support, and parents, especially not without your money. So thank you. But before I return to my seat, I have just one last group of people to thank. The class of 2014. Never has a more optimistic, inquisitive, or compassionate group of students sat in these seats. As such, I'm looking forward to seeing what I know you will all become in the future. because we're ready for the real world. So after we get our diplomas today, throw our caps in the air, and smile awkwardly through what will feel like hours of photos, I ask you all to remind yourselves of the lessons we've been taught as Monte Vista Mustangs, of the people we've met as Monte Vista Mustangs, and of who we will always be because we once were Monte Vista Mustangs. As author Steve Maraboli once wrote, "Live your truth, walk your talk, make today worth remembering." Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2014.